Good afternoon and welcome to our session today, all on reservations. Today is our Did You Know series. My name is Quentin and we're going to jump right into it. Apologies for the delay in starting. We've been overwhelmed with interest on users to come across to the SmartSuite system. So I got stuck in a presentation. So apologies for that. But let's jump in. So first of all, what is reservations? Well, reservations is the ability for your clients to be able to say to you, look, I really want this book. Please don't give it to someone else before I can get to the library. Okay, so it's a nice way, especially now that we're in the cloud, it's a nice way to allow your users to interact with you. Okay, but obviously there's going to be issues. The number one issue is, what if my clients run around and start reserving everything? And all of a sudden, I'm getting all these notifications, I'm getting these error messages pop up. It's really going to be a headache. I've tried it before with my other system, and I just don't want to do it again with SmartSuite Library. Well, I'm going to show you how you can secure that. So the first thing we're going to look at with reservations is how do we manage the users from just going crazy. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to our loan limits. So that's in, configuration and authority editor. Now in authority editor, we're going to go to our class grade and we're going to have a look at the loan limits for a specific year group. So if we're a high school, we might look at our year 7s, for example. In here, we have the total amount of resources they can loan at any one time. We can see the period they can loan these resources for in a day count, the renewal settings, and then finally the reserve limit. So this is a count of how many items they can have on reserve at any one time. We might say, okay, we have 800 kids at our school. If they each have a reserve of 3, that's going to be a number of books that are going to be out of action. So instead of having 3, we might say that year 7s can have 2 reserves at any one time. And we'll save that. We'll then go into our staff. And we'll say that staff can have 50 items on reserve. And at the same time, they can reserve and loan multiple copies of the same title. And this is going to help for class sets. Okay, we'll set that up and we'll hit save. Now, as soon as we do that, that's going to roll all these settings down to every user within these classifications or these class grades. And you have secured your system. Out of the box, by default, the reserve limit is set to 0, which means that when your clients are logging in from home, instead of being able to at least reserve 1, they're getting an error message which says, you cannot reserve this resource. Please contact your library administrator for assistance. Okay, so first thing that we recommend that you do is jump into your class grade and update the reserve limits. Now, once that has been done, how do my clients actually go about placing a book on reserve? Well, there are articles on this in our help center. So if you go to help and you do a search for reserves or reservations, the articles will come up there and you can blast that, send that to all of your users, print off the article and stick it around the library. Okay, but quite simply, if your system is out of the box, the reservations tab will be on the right-hand side. When your users do a search of a resource, they will be able to click and see all the information on the book, and they'll be able to see the reservations information. They will see their user profile. They will see the book that is currently going to be reserved if they continue with clicking the reserve button. They will see what number in the queue they are currently for this particular resource. and they will also see an estimated pickup date. Now, obviously, because I'm number 1 in the queue, the estimated pickup date is today because I can pick it up at any time I want. But what's going to happen is, let's say that I'm number 2 in the queue, but the person in front of me is a teacher. They don't have a fortnightly loan period. They have a monthly loan period. I might look at that date and I might go, you know what? By the time that I can actually pick up this book, it's going to be past my English assignment where I need to read a book and do a book report on it. So I'm just going to choose a different book. I won't bother waiting for it. Okay? If, as a student, I go, yep, cool, that's fine with me, all I need to do is hit reserve. Okay? For my user, I have exceeded my reserve limit. Okay, and it's produced an error message for me. Now, because I'm the administrator, I can override that. But if I was a student, the error message will tell me that I need to go to my reserves and I need to remove one of the other books before I can reserve this one. Okay, so I'll go ahead anyway and I'll approve that. And as I do that, I can see my reservations and all the reserves that I currently have. Okay, so straight away, if the user did have a limit of 3 and this was their 3rd one, they'll be able to see all of those resources. And at that point in time, they'll be able to go, you know what, I don't need this Harry Potter one anymore. I'll remove that so I can use that reservation limit on something else. Okay. So the system is going to basically take all the work of reservations from you as the administrator and put that onto the system. So you don't really have to manage any of that once you've set up your loan limits. Now let's say that we're reserving on behalf of another student. So they come up to the circulation desk and they say, oh, miss, do you have this book? And you've had a look and it's currently not available. Okay, for whatever reason, it's on loan, it's been put onto a display shelf, and it's just not available for loan right now. So as a librarian, what I can do is I can click on the search button above the user's image. And this will allow me to search for a user's name. When I search for that user's name, all of their existing reservations load in the module. And I can see that Maze Runner is also on reserve for Mary Jane. Okay, and she is number 3 in the queue. Sorry, I'll just go back to show you that. Okay, so that's the date and time that they placed this item on reserve, and then number 3. It's currently not available for pickup. Okay, if it was available for pickup, it would tell me so that I can say to the user, look, I'll put this one on reservation for you, but whilst you're here, the Maze Runner is also available. I'll go grab that from the shelf. Okay. I can also have a look at their estimated pickup dates. Okay, and it would also give me the pickup date as well. Sorry, so I'm looking at the queue before, the number in the queue, and then the estimated pickup date. Now, the reason why I've got not applicable for this particular record is because one of the users in the queue in front of me has some issues with their loans. Now, it might be that we have marked them as they have left, and therefore the system doesn't know when that item is coming back. So it's got it as not applicable. It's basically a prompt for us as the administrators to go in and check what's happening with other users in front of the queue. If I'm happy to still put that item on reserve for J, we'll hit reserve, and straight away we can see all the users that are in the queue for us. Okay, if I can see someone else that's, sorry, these are all Mary Jane's reservations, I apologise. Okay, and again, it'll tell me if there's one that's ready for pickup. Now, if I go back to the book just by clicking on it, I can see all the users that are in the queue in front of Mary Jane. So Donald, Quentin, and Mary Jane. If I look at this and I go, you know what, Mary Jane's pretty good. She usually reads these books in 3 or 4 days and then returns them on time. Donald and Quentin, they pretty much not only take the whole time, but they also make the books overdue. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reorder the queue. And I'm going to put Mary Jane at the top and make it that as soon as this book becomes available, she's number 1 in the queue. Donald and Quentin can then be 2 and 3 respectively. Okay. And for confirmation, I can then send Mary Jane a little notification and say, "Hi Mary Jane, just confirming I have placed the following resource on reserve for you." And I can email that to her. Okay, that's going to go off to Jay with a confirmation just so that she has a confirmation that it's been placed on reserve for her. And that's all done through that module that you see here. Now, what happens from that point in time? Previous systems would then send you a notification and say, hey, someone's put this book on reserve. But what's the purpose of that? We do have the ability for you as an administrator to turn that report on so that as soon as someone places any books on reserve, you get notification of it. But you do open yourself up to be spammed if you have a very active community that are always reserving books. Okay? What we like to do out of the box is to notify you when you need to know about what's going on. So in circulation, if I was dealing with a whole bunch of students, the classes come through, they've put all their books into the return chute, and at the end of the day, I'm going to scan all my books in. When you scan that book in, the system is going to automatically produce a pop-up for you. And it's going to say, hey, this book has been reserved for Mary Jane. Would you like to email and or print a reservation slip? So what I can do is I can hit email, and a very nice formatted reserve email will go out to Mary Jane. It will look something like this. Okay. I can also print it so that we can slip that into the book and put that on our reservation shelf. And once we've done one or both of those, we can then click continue and start circulating the remaining books. Okay, so the system will notify you when it needs to notify you. Now, if I forget about it and Mary Jane comes up to the desk, don't worry. The system is also going to notify you at that point. Hey, Mary Jane has one reserved item that is currently available. And you go, okay, I'm going to click on the prints. Okay, it's both Harry Potter and the Maze. So let me go and grab that for you, Mary Jane. And if you want a reminder, because they're not on the reservation shelf, they're actually in the main library shelf, click print, and you can take all that information with you with the call number, the location, and sublocation of those resources. Okay, so reservations is not really about you as the administrator managing this information. The first thing you need to do is set up the reserve limits so that they're not going through, and this is the clients aren't going through and just reserving everything that's in the collection. Once you've done that, it's pretty much hands off. You allow the system to notify you when you need to be notified. Your clients can then reserve the items by themselves. They can go into their My Profile area and they can delete the reservations themselves. They can have an update as to what's going on with the pickup date. So earlier I moved Mary Jane in the queue. She's now number 1. All the other users, when they log in to check what's going on, they'll actually see that date has been updated. So all of that is being done and managed by the system. You don't have to worry about it. And that's just another reason why SmartSuite Library is making the administrative areas of a library so much easier and quicker to deal with. Okay, now today was a Did You Know? These are the facilities that are available to you and an overview of those functions. We went in and did a little bit of the setup in here, but to get more hands-on with setting up the reservation slips, if we wanted to customize what they look like, put our school logo at the top, change the colors, we can do that. If we're wanting to get more information and step-by-step instructions on how to place reservations on behalf of other users, you can search for the article, or you can contact our customer service team members, or you can subscribe to the channel and click the bell. When you do that, all our upcoming events will be sent to you by notification. So you can keep an eye out for something like the Pro series, where we dive deeper into the how-tos onto how to manage one of these functions, or one of our other series like the Lockdown series, where we're trying to show you how you can communicate with your users whilst in a lockdown environment. Okay, my name is Quentin. Thank you so much for joining the session today, and we'll see you next time on one of our how-to YouTube live events.